Hi, Sparkle Beans! I'm your host, Emily, and this is the Midnight Soup Pod. And on this episode, I want to talk a little bit more about making your body, your brain, a more hospitable space and nurturing environment for your dreams and your visions and more aligned versions of yourself to flow within. So I want to talk about something called the RAS, and it's a system in your brain, a little neuroscience terminology there first again, because I love a little neuroscience action. I want to talk about affirmations, and I want to talk about a few other things and stuff. So let's just get into it here. First of all, I'm really cold. My house is super, super chilly. I just have like a big space heater in the kitchen, but it's just extra cold. So I got all my blankets around me, and I have a problem. And my problem is that I can't stop eating squashy gummy candies. They are by Smarties, and seriously, don't need this right now. I seriously don't need this right now. I don't need another thing to feed the bugs in my gut. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I keep thinking maybe I should do like a liver cleanse, because I think when you feel stuck, you often overlook, well, this is just speaking for myself. I overlook the physical body sometimes and like what's going on internally when I feel like mentally, emotionally, I feel stuck or stagnant, or like not a lot of stuff is flowing. And it's important to look and see, well, how is your physical body reacting? Like, honestly, like, are you constipated? Are you constipated a lot? Because there's something going on there. Maybe there's a blockage in your chi. Like, maybe you need to do a cleanse. Maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention to the gut, the liver, clear things out physically. And I think that creates space, because everything's connected. You know what I'm saying? Every little thing is connected in this world. And even the birds and the bees are all of the same. We all are made of star stuff. We're all made of star stuff. We all come. Okay, sorry. But yeah, everything's connected. And that's one of those things with acupuncture too. Like, I've been doing acupuncture off and on since I was like in my early 20s. And I love acupuncture. The most recent woman that I've been going to for acupuncture, her name's Judith. She's great. And she was like, okay, the other day, well, I've been dealing with a lot of energy that feels like things have not been flowing. Things have felt super stagnant. And just like, I'm not in flow, and that's why I'm like setting off again on Sparkle Quest, because that's what it is. It's like the sparkle is like is being in flow, being in this creative flow. Like, that's where my sparkle lies, and that's where the magic is. And I just have not been able to access that or get there in what feels like so long. And so I was just telling her, like, I'm doing a lot of ruminating, like there's a lot of anxiety, and I'm also super constipated. And she was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like, you have liver chi stagnation or something. I don't know. But ultimately, it all links in together, all of that stuff. So anywho-de-do, let's talk a little bit about science. Let's talk about neuroscience. I want to talk about the RAS. And the RAS is your reticular activating system. And the RAS is like, it's like the bloodhound in your brain. And in the book Mind Magic, that is by James Doty, I think is his name. Is it James? James R. Doty? That sounds right. He refers to it as the bloodhound. And so because there is so much information coming at us all day, every day, in sights, in smells, in sounds, and there is so much to process at any given moment, our brains can't grab on to all of that different information. It's not physically possible, right? So we just can't take all that in. So our RAS filters out things that it doesn't deem as important information, and stuff that just doesn't feel necessary. It sort of like blocks it out, and it hones in. It's going to sniff out things that it thinks that you are giving it instruction that are important things. And okay, just bear with me here, because I know I have so much information in my brain, and I understand things at a cellular level, but if you want me to eloquently relay the information back to you, why do I have a podcast? Okay. I don't know. So just bear with me here. So it's like the bloodhound, where it's going to sniff out what you tell it to. It's going to catch the scent of whatever it thinks you want to see and hear, and whatever you want in your reality. Maybe you don't want it though. That's the thing we're going to get to, because you can train your RAS for good or for bad. It can be either, because you can say to yourself over and over, here's an example of when it's not helpful. You can train it you can say to yourself over and over, I am so behind in life. I'm so behind for my age. Other people I know are so much farther ahead. Like, everyone else is doing so much better than me. And your RAS is going to single out information to prove that that's true. It's on the scent. It's sniffing it out. It's going to find it for you and make sure that you are aware of it. So you might be more drawn to paying attention to certain things on social media, where all these people are like doing these great things, or, you know, this person from high school that's your age is like buying a house, starting a business, or like you might hear something. It might like attune your attention. It might tune your attention into like something you hear, to prove that, because it's really just, I like thinking of it as like a little dog in there. There's a little bloodhound on the scent, because it's just a little guy that you're just saying, here's a task, and it thinks it's doing what you want it to do, right? But on the flip side, so this is an example that a lot of people will talk about when they're talking about the RAS, is you have a car that you like, and you decided you want that car, and you love that car, and you keep thinking about that car. And then all of a sudden, you are seeing that car everywhere you go. When before, that car was like something you wanted, that it wasn't ever really around. But all of a sudden, there's a car here, there's a car there, there's a car there, of this special car that you want. And because you've given the RAS a specific task, that's why. Because it's devoting the attention to seeking that out for you. So sometimes it is helpful to think of your body as like a programmable system, and you need to provide clear instructions and for it to do its thing and do what you want it to do. And you also need to provide the proper fuel, and you need to, for it to function, like you need to charge its batteries, you need the exercise, you need the sleep, you need the proper like nourishing food for it to function right, like some kind of machine. So something that I'll say, sometimes I'll get in the habit of doing this and I forget, I have all these tools, but when I'm in like a moment of crisis, or when I'm in a prolonged sort of state of depression, I just sometimes cannot retrieve all of these tools that I've used that are helpful. They just don't even come into my mind because I'm so focused on my mental anguish, But there's this one thing that I will do sometimes, kind of in that vein of the RAS, where I'll get in the habit of saying, universe, or, whatever you want to say, show me how good it gets. Show me how good it gets. I wake up in the morning, first thing I say, show me how good it gets today. And then all day, it's like that little bloodhound. I've given it an assignment. Show me, little guy, little cutie, little guy, do your job and show me how good it gets. Go seek that out. And so all day, I'm kind of like on the lookout for good things to happen. And he's on the scent, and things do happen. They do appear in my reality where I'm like, oh, and it's not even, that's the thing about the RAS too. It's like, it to some degree sort of demystifies that, because it's not like it's just popping up necessarily where it wasn't before, but you are aware of it all of a sudden. So maybe it's been there all the time, but you weren't able to see it because that's not what you told the little guy in there to seek out. You know what I mean? So it's on the scent, and it's going to show me how good it gets that day. And I'm going to inevitably see or hear or experience something that is cool or great. And for it, as a couple examples I'll give you, I was on a really long walk. This was a couple weeks ago. And I was really trying to just like work on my mindset, because my mindset has been in the absolute shitter lately. Like, it's gotten pretty bad. And like my whole self-concept, like everything is just, it just got weird for a minute. Okay. It's been weird for the past few months. Honestly, all of last year, we got weird, and not in like a bad weird. So, what was I saying? Hang on, let me find it. Hang on, let me get my bloodhound on the scent. Oh yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, I used to say that all the time and it worked. And so I, remember this tool. And I was on this really long, nice walk, and I was listening to some podcast about like manifesting wealth or something. I don't know, some shit like that, because I'm always listening to that kind of stuff. I sat down on this bench and I was like looking out at the bay, and I was just like, show me how good it gets. Like, universe, show me how good it gets. And right after I said that, this rush of these murmurating birds just came right by me. They just went whoosh, and it was like tons of them. Oh, hit my guitar. It was like tons of them, one after another, this swarm of these murmurating birds. And I could feel, like I could feel the rush of air from these birds all moving together in the bay. And I was just like, whoa, that is a little bit of something I call magic. Okay. That was cool. And it works. Like, that was a pretty great experience. And just today I started doing it again, and I said it a couple times throughout the day. I was like, show me how good it gets. Show me how good it can be. And then, this little angel in a froggy green dress. And you guys know how I feel about the color green. You guys know how I feel about a frog. I love a frog. I love a green. I'm a green queen, machine bean. And this woman, we're mutuals on TikTok. Her name's Patria, and her, what is her it's at l.tomboy. And she did this little dress try on, because she's like a thrifter too, and I think she also sells vintage. And she had this green dress on, and she was like, just tell me like what you guys think of all these different dresses. Did they look good on me? Like, which one should I keep? And I commented, I saw this green dress she was wearing, and I was like, oh my God, I need that dress. And I was just like, that green color is so good on you. She messages me, and she's like, girl, that dress is yours. I'm going to send it to you. Patria, are you kidding my ass? I actually cried. Anyway, so I've just been like emotion for a couple days. And saw that message, and I was just like, oh my God, that's pretty darn good if you ask me. That got pretty freaking good. So what a little angel in a froggy green dress. And it works. And I need to, in fact, notate that in my journal, because also writing good things down is more confirmation and just reaffirms that, oh, good things do happen to me. Even when the world looks the way it is now, which is really, I don't even have a word for it. I mean, it's just really hard to be positive right now. And I think it's also any sane person is not going to feel great right now. You know, it's kind of just across the board. Most people are going to be feeling some depression, some anxiety, some feelings of despair, some hopelessness. I think that's very normal for what is occurring. But my hopes with this podcast and just Sparkle Quest is that maybe some of this will help you get out of those spaces, because we can't. Anyways, I don't know, I'm going off on a whole tangent. And I also just zoned out a little bit. Like sometimes I literally just, before I had a podcast, and even when I'm not, because I haven't been doing the podcast for a while, I'll just sit here and talk to myself like this without the spoon in the mic, but I'll just have this conversation as though I'm on a podcast and like work things out with myself, you know? Okay, now, what else do we want to talk about? We want to talk about, for some reason I have this in my notes, like a couple, this has nothing to do with even really anything I'm talking about, so I don't know why I put this in here, but the codes, the gateway, like CIA codes that came out, it was like around COVID time. And there was like all these different codes for things. And there was this one for pain relief. Maybe it was just like a reminder for myself because I've been having trouble with my knee. But there's this code, this number code for pain relief that what happens is you focus on the spot where the pain is. So for me, my knee has been hurting me. So I'll focus all my attention on this spot and I'll just say the code, which is 55515. And I'll repeat that over and over and over again. And as a sort of mantra, as I focus on this space in my knee, and the pain literally dissipates. I am not kidding your ass. Okay. This really works. I know it's probably to some of you sounds weird. If you're listening to this podcast, probably doesn't sound weird at all, honestly, but it works. And I've had other people do this, and people that like would not be into this or would be skeptical of this kind of stuff. And they've been like, that actually worked. That's so weird that actually got rid of the pain. And I've done this when I've been keeled over with gut pain before, where I'm like, oh my God, like I cannot, like sometimes, IBS girlies, sometimes we have these unbearable tummy aches. And I've just been like, deep breaths and say 55515, 55515, 55515 as I'm like focusing on the pain. It works. I don't know. And that's another thing that makes me think of like our bodies being these sort of computer systems. It's just like code. It's like computer code. It's freaking weird, freaky weird. It's freaking weird. Something I'm a big fan of right now is listening to affirmations on audio affirmations. And I have a couple on YouTube that I'll listen to, and I'll just type in like women's affirmations for women because I prefer to listen to a woman's voice. And so I will put these on. Lately, I've been putting them on in the morning, first thing when I wake up. That's the first thing I'm going to listen to. And usually like I don't like to touch my phone in the morning, but I'll just like have my apps blocked with the Opal app, which we'll talk about screen time in another episode, but Basically it's an app that you can set it for different times of the day to like block certain apps. So like I couldn't get on social media anyway in the morning. But anyways, so I'll just set it, listen to it as I'm making my coffee, as I'm making my breakfast, and I'll like repeat the affirmations as I listen to them. And there's like some nice soothing music. And then I'll go on my morning walk or my afternoon walk and I'll listen to the affirmations then. And this is what's happening right now. I am flooding my system. I am absolutely like sticking my head under a waterfall of good information and things that will make me feel like I am going to be okay. Because like I know people, not everyone's on board with affirmations, but I have utilized affirmations for a long time and they are really beneficial to me. They really help me to get in a different mindset and to be more positive in my life. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now because I've been in such a negative state of mind and I have been in such a deep hole that I'm going to fake it till I make it situation. And if you've listened to like earlier podcasts where I'm talking about sort of like picking a character that has the qualities that you wish you had and you want to emanate more of, whatever that person's qualities are. And you sort of take that on in kind of a method acting sort of way. I'm a big fan of fake it till you make it. There's something there that kind of shit works. So anyways, I'm just drowning in affirmations all day. And I'm like 4 or 5 times a day. Like I'm driving to the grocery store. I got my affirmations on. Even like I'm walking through the grocery store in my headphones. I'm listening to affirmations. I'm really into anything that's like going to force me out of this mental state. Because I've tried the gentle approach. Like we've been there. We've been working there. And I've been back in therapy, like we've been doing that. And I'm past that at this point. And I'm so tired of the mental anguish and the suffering that is honestly of my own doing. Like I get in these states sometimes where my mind is a prison. And that's where I've been for months. And it's like I have not been able to see, I have capped myself I put myself in a box. I'm inside of a glass case of emotion. That actually really, I really understand that. Like that suits me in this moment. The other night I woke up giggling. I literally woke up, it was like 3 nights ago. I woke myself up laughing so hard. Like something was so funny that I woke myself up. How weird is that? I also had a dream a couple nights ago that I was riding a white horse bareback and I was like grabbing its neck and like pulling its tugging. That sounds a little sensual. I was just whatever the way that you would ride a horse without a saddle. I was like holding onto its hair and it was just taking me off in this field and it was a white horse. Magical dream. Anyways, what were we even talking about? I want to talk a little bit about this thing that Joe Dispenza says. And that's another thing here that some people may not necessarily agree with Dr. Joe and say like, oh, he's not a doctor. He's like a chiropractor. Like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of arguments against him. Like he's not a neuroscientist, but he like places himself in a space of being an expert. And I like Joe Dispenza. I have benefited from his meditations and his practices for many years, and I'm of the belief that I don't give a shit I don't give a shit what his credentials are. If someone has a useful tool for me that works for me, that puts me in a place where I feel like I can be the best version of myself, or I can be a better, more aligned version of myself, or I can enjoy this brief moment on this planet in this life as Emily here on this planet. Like if there's a tool that can help me be more myself and tap into something also outside of myself that is so much bigger, but also it's also an inside of myself. It's outside, but it's actually within. We're going deep. We're going deep here. If there's something like that, I don't give a shit what the credentials are. You can shove a credential up your asshole. Like, I'm going to use it and I don't care. So when I get really irritated when people are like, there's just science behind it. It's just, I don't care if it's shit. And also, if you're listening to this and you're listening to me talk about like neuroscience or like tools for your nervous system, and you're like, what's this girl's credentials? Well, how'd you get this far into the podcast? First of all, if you're curious about that. And second of all, I literally still think there is a way to access a portal behind my closet. I believe in gnomes, so do with that what you will. Like, log off, babe. I don't shove it, like I said, shove a credential up your ass. Because I ain't got none. I actually do have some level of credential. I'm going to just say, in my 20s, I got deeply sucked into spiritual communities. And I was going to a mediumship circle every week. I was attending the Academy of Intuition Medicine in Sausalito. I was a student. And I was also doing some other stuff with charging cotton to cure cancer in rats and humans. So there's a lot of credentials there. There they are for you. There's my credentials. Have a good look at them. Anyways, this podcast is getting too long. Okay, so where else are we going with this? Okay, this is important. Listen to me. This is what Joe Dispenza says, and this has stuck with me for a long time. I first heard this in my early 20s, and I'm old now. I'm an old broad. Okay, so listen, I'm getting too excitable. It's that candy I ate. I ate a lot of that candy. This is why I can't have sugar, especially at night. So Joe Dispenza has said you get into a mood. Okay, and a mood typically is going to last hours, could last days, your mood. And what happens when that recently triggered mood lingers? You've gotten in a bit of a funk since that day of the mood, and now you're getting upset at everyone and everything and all your external environment. And at this point, you're not just in a mood anymore. At this point, you are reflecting a temperament, a tendency toward the habitual expression of an emotion through certain behaviors. And a temperament is an emotional reaction with a refractory period that lasts from weeks to months. So we just went from a mood, days to hours to days, to what is now a temperament, weeks to months, when you hold on to that, right? Eventually, if you keep the refractory period of an emotion going for months and years, that tendency turns into your personality. And that is when, at that point, others will describe you as bitter, as resentful, as angry, as maybe judgmental. And our personality traits then are frequently based in our past emotions. It just started with a mood, triggered emotion that started a mood. And most of the time, personality, how we think, act, and feel, is anchored in the past. So to change our personalities, we have to change the emotions that we memorized the emotions that get so deeply ingrained in our bodies and our minds, and we have to move out of the past. And your personality becomes your personal reality. Into me I see. Realize. Real eyes. As above, so below. As within, so without. Okay, so what I'm saying is, that's where I am. That's where I'm at. This mood, I got triggered. Some old emotions, some old wounds got poked at, turned into a mood, which turned into a temperament. And now I'm in a space where it's my reality. What I am exhibiting is a lot of bitterness and a lot of frustration and there's a lot of bitterness in there right now. And I don't like that. Like, it is a part of me, obviously, because it's something that I am experiencing, but I don't want that to become my personality. Anything that slaps me out of the state that I'm in right now, I'm going to do, because I've made these grooves so deep in my neural pathways with what I've been experiencing and the negativity of my mindset lately that I really have to try to get out of them. I have to hop out of those grooves I've created and create these new pathways and define and carve out these new grooves in the neural pathway. So listening to affirmations like 4 times a day, which some of you might think that's overkill, but for me right now, I just have to stick my head under the waterfall of good emotion. And I'll say to myself, sometimes I'll say things like a long time ago, I heard someone say that they didn't at the time love themselves and they wanted to love themselves, but they knew they couldn't just repeat these affirmations of, I love myself. I'm successful. I'm great. I'm a, wonderful person. They didn't believe that because they just weren't there. And so they had to start saying, what would someone who loves themselves do? What would someone who loves himself do? How would someone who loves himself behave? And you would do that thing. And so I'll say what would a magical, witchy ass woman do? What would she do? What would she do in this situation? She would feel powerful. She would know her own power and her own ability to transmute and to alchemize. And she would know that she is capable of magic. You know what I mean? So it's if you don't feel that, you can use that as a tool to say, what would someone who insert whatever do? What would they do? How would they act? Yeah. Okay, so then another thing, and I'm about to wrap this up, but another thing, there's another woman, and I don't think I saved the video, but she was talking about how she was jumping up and down in the morning 60 times every single morning and how it's changed her life. And she was documenting all of this for a while. And maybe it was a year or something. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not great at relaying information. So maybe that's not even what it was. But I know that she was jumping up and down for a long period of time. And she was this changed my life. So I started early in the morning. First thing I do, I turn on my affirmations, go in my kitchen, and I jump up and down 60 times. And I got to hold the ladies because I'm not wearing a bra. Yeah, I jump up and down 60 times. But before I do it, I'll kind of I've also heard you need to take care of your neck in the morning because lymph will drain in the morning. So I'll kind of just rub my clavicles to sort of open up those channels, and then I'll jump up and down. And I even it's even better if you have a rebounder, a mini trampoline. That's great. And I have one outside, but sometimes I don't make it outside for a couple hours in the morning. So that's another thing that's probably actually a problem. it's really important to get morning sunlight within the first 10 minutes of being awake, because that sets your circadian rhythm for your whole day. That sets your whole day, your rhythm is circadian. And then you sleep better because of that. Anyways, so yeah, I'll just jump up and down my kitchen sometimes. And I get a little energy going. I get a little chi flow. So that's all I got for you today. And one more thing I'll say. I have a negative thought lately, and I'm just interrupting it aggressively. I'm just saying, like, in my head, I'm like, I see someone who is doing something I want to do, and I'll be like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that because I'll immediately just, I'll be like, just do something crazy to like reset my head, or I'll just all of a sudden go goblin mode and be like, or I'll just yell no, or stop, or, I mean, no is a good one. There's a lot of, it packs a big punch. And it just interrupts it. It interrupts the automatic negative thought. So there's some science for you. Hope that was helpful. And last minute things. I'm on Instagram at emily.earthing, and you can follow some week to week Sparkle Quest videos going on over there. And just like my day to day, I'm on TikTok at Madam Toad, and I am on Substack at Midnight Soup. And other things to say? Nope. Good night.